Stories of inspiration and love. Oh, how we live and what we say. It's Stampin' Up and it's our way.
Hi everyone, it's Pauline from Stamp with Pauline, and today I thought I would just jump on and show you what we've been up to for the last couple of weeks. We have been super busy with all the new things that are coming out. New Stampin' Up promotion this month is if you join the team, you will receive the new Stampin' Up Positioner free in your kit. So that's something. There's the virtual retreat that we did. You can still buy that kit. It is $288, but when you break it down, you actually get 2 stamp sets and a die set and the paper and the embellishments. So it's like as if you're just buying a suite, which is great value. So the cards that we made out of that, you've probably seen them online, but I will show you here as well, just so you can actually see what we've done. Done a little bit of rearranging in my craft space as well. I've been quite brutal. I've been throwing things away and culling stuff and sorting things out as well. So there's lots of things that have actually occurred in this space as well. So what else is new? On Stage is coming up, so we'll be away in March for that. Going away to a retreat in May, so I'll be away for that. But there's lots of new things. There's heaps of online exclusives. Stampin' Up demonstrators get a pre-order on that, and then March will be the release of those products. So for this month, we have the online exclusives pre-order. There's also some other online exclusives as well. There's also product of the month. Now, product of the month for January was this one. And for December was some beautiful designer series paper. Now for the month of February is some more designer series paper, but this is a big pack of 12 by 12 designer series paper exclusive to a qualifying order. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll get, I'll show you some things that I have actually done over the weeks. The first card I'm going to show you is one that we've made. It is using the product of the month designer series paper to look like a background wallpaper effect. I've used that's a good English word, sorry. I have used the woven DSP to create the carpet, and I have used the designer series paper to cut out a chair, cut out a little branch as well. This card is actually a pop-up card, so it creates this little element here. Really easy to do. What you want to do for this one is create 2 cards. One is your base card and one is the pop-up mechanism, and all it is just a standard base card, but ever so slightly trim it down just so that it actually meets just inside that edge there. What I did was fold it over, take the snips, cut it up, made 3 and space them out, and then all I did was push this out and just gently score those 2 edges over. And what will happen is you'll get these little bits like that then you can fold down and glue to the inside of your card, and then you just decorate. This card here, I created some Cajun Craze shelving so that it looks like my items are on a shelf. I stamped and cut out a jugs and then some of the books. I did that all in blue, and then I did it again in the Granny Apple and the Real Red, and I cut them off and glued them on so it's all one piece. And then again from the designer series paper, just a selection of potted plants. So that's one card that we did at our last retreat. So card class is once every 2nd month, so it's a bi-monthly class. It includes the product. So the ladies actually, we did on display, and we got the stamp and cut and emboss machine, the dies to go in our mini machine. And then what you actually get with your class is to make 6 cards. And this was again another card that we did. We used the designer series paper to create the speckled background, which tied in nicely with the Cajun Craze cardstock. Cut out and raised up the top of the bookcase, cut out the bookcase, and you can't really see it, but the bookcase does actually have little tiny wood grooves in it. We put one of the sections back in and added a handle. That's part of the dies. And then we just layered on some old olive greenery ferns and stamped a cat. I did chop off his tail so that he can sit down the front. These elements here are actually created using this type of designer series paper. So using this designer series paper, I've cut it up into strips and ran it through the dies and picked what elements I wanted. So I wanted a little bit more of a blue pot, so I just cut out the blue pot. For this one here, again, just picking different parts. For the blue and the green books, I laid the die right up against this green section here. So I had a green, and then it shades and breaks down into the separate parts. The purple pot came from the purple part of the designer series paper, and then photo frame, I did that twice. One to get the little element of the branch, you can't quite see it probably on camera, and then the outer edge of the frame. So that was another card that we did, and I've just used this designer series paper to make nice two-tone elements and make a variety of things on that. This other card that we did, nice and simple again, using the designer series paper, the countryside hexagons, hectagonals, whatever you want to call them, and just an easy card. We also did some fun folds as well. Apart from just the pop-up card, there were 2 other additional cards that the ladies made. So you actually get to make 6. You also get the stamps and the dies, or sometimes it could be a punch, and then I also like to give them little treats as well. And one of the gifts that I gave them was this little pop-up pencil case. So get this out, and so each lady received this as a gift for attending, and you pull it out and it creates the full cat. And then what happens is when you put your pencils and pens and things in it, you actually pull down the little side tabs, and then you have this pencil case that is able to stand up on your desk and show you all of your goodies inside. So it's nice and easy. There's little pockets in there, enough to keep your bone folder, your snips, maybe your adhesive as well, but a nice little pencil case with a little cat who was cute. So I tried to incorporate the cat on everything, all the cards that we did. Now the other thing I actually created for the ladies was this. It's actually a Perspex holder. It's only a little mini, it's the size of my hand, has a little tray at the front, and all I added was some adhesive sheeting to this. This made it really easy for the ladies when they were actually cutting their cards, because they did all the cutting out on these cards. And what they were able to do is just pop their dies on here and keep track of everything. That's why they weren't sort of looking for things along the way. And then the little tray down the front comes in handy for your take a pick tool, maybe your brush to get those little intricate dies out. You could even stack your glue in there. So that was a nice little extra little thing that I created. And if you wanted, I did have the suggestion of putting on there the another piece of magnetic sheeting, so that way then both sides were magnetic. But one of the other ladies had suggested then you could easily put your stamps on here so you wouldn't lose your stamps. But that's what I created for the ladies as a little extra gift for their class. So if you'd like to attend that, the next one is the 11th of April, Saturday the 11th of April, and we are doing a new adorable cute little set that is going to be in the online exclusives, and it's called The Cutest Crew, and it's all these little animals and things like that. So really adorable little set that is available coming out. So yeah, so I'll show you now some of the cards that we did for the virtual retreat. So for the virtual card retreat, what we got was all the cutting instructions and everything that goes with it. We got these embellishments to bling up our card. It's called the Moody Palette Glossy Dots. So they came in the 4 colors. We also got the instructions with a visual. So here is the card, and then it gave us all the instructions on here. When you buy this I'm going to say suite, but when you buy this class, you will actually get all the instructions, all the videos. They're live videos. They will be available for the month, and then they're going to upload them onto a private YouTube channel for us for future reference. So you get this. And then this was card number 14. Not that it really mattered. You can work in any order you like. We threaded through the designer series paper. We added the twine, giving them knots at the back. We stamped and cut out flowers. We distressed the edge of the card. So that was number 14. Not doing these in any order. These are actually just inside my box that I actually had. So this is card number 5. Card number 5 was a stencil, and we actually, when you buy this product, it actually has these die cuts sheets. There's 2 sheets, and you're going to pull those out, and those die cut sheets are then used to create this stencil. We coloured in this frame using the ink pad. There was lots of tips, lots of ideas, lots of suggestions, really good useful information, things that you probably just don't think about doing or you haven't done for a while. So decorating the envelope, we decorated the inside of the card, we stenciled here. So the next card, number 13, this was really cool little technique. So again, just adding some designer series paper to the envelope to make it a little bit fancy. We coloured in the designer series paper. We created a frame. We stamped on the frame, and we cut out and coloured the flowers. On the inside, we used some flip flaps, and the flip flaps just open up like that, with the designer series paper cut up and folded in half, and then added a strip of designer series paper there. So that was really cute. Next card. All right. So for this card, again, the instructions, the designer series paper added to the envelope, and then this, I will say, was a bit fiddly. Well, it was good. There's an additional layer so that it doesn't matter how messy it is at the back. It did actually show quite nicely. Stamp and emboss the words, and then weave the designer series paper and the scraps of white throughout the card. So that was a little cute little technique to do. This card here, I've got some extra bits cut out. I made it a little different to the one that they showed online, but that's okay. So that's the instructions. That is the envelope, and then the card. So we stamped the cardstock tone on tone. We stamped the Berry Burst ink onto the Berry Burst strip. We stamped some additional flowers. We used the stencil, the die from the stamp set to do that. And then we have this piece here. This actually folded over on itself. I'm not sure if you can see it. So it folds back over, and we added that. Bit of more of the designer series paper stamped, and again that same technique on the front. And then, because you don't want to always see that space at the back, the other option was then to add some additional flowers, leaves that then would cover over it. So that was that card. And for this card, instructions, this really was a pretty card. I quite like doing this. Designer series paper on the basic white base card, followed by some embossing. We stamped, we shaded, we added some twine, we added layers. This actually was the die cut out and then cut up. It actually makes a frame, and we cut it up. We added some additional leaves that we had coloured in as well using the stamp, and then the happy birthday embossed as well as the envelope. This card that we created, it really wasn't in order on the day because they did different techniques on different days and made it easier for themselves of what they were presenting. So that no point in showing you what order we actually did them in. But again, this one was a really interesting thing that we just don't do it enough, and I know that. And this is actually designer series paper, and we've coloured in the background, coloured in the leaves, the dots on the centres of the flower. That's it. And then we did the same thing with this as well, this designer series paper. And then you create the card. Let me just unravel this. Oh, doesn't want to come off. Hang on. Ah, there we go. Gotcha. All right. And then what happens is this card here. Oh, I've got a little sticky here. Hang on. There we go. So this, a little gatefold card there onto that. So nice little techniques again, stamping on the designer series paper, colouring in the designer series paper, alternating things, and just having that as a lock mechanism on the front. This was a really pretty card. So we stamped the envelope and then this card, and then it actually has a couple of different layers on it. So we use the the die bundle, which you will be able to purchase. It is actually going to be in one of the March online exclusives. So if you like this die, the stamp set, just can't I'll put it away. The stamp set, this one is the virtual retreat, so you will not be able to buy that. But the other stamp set, let me grab that. So the 2026 virtual card making retreat, you cannot buy that one. That is only part of the suite kit that you can get that one from. And the Forever Florals with these are available in the February pre-order. They'll be available on the March online exclusives. You will be able to purchase those. Great dies. This is the one that we actually did a lot of cutting out and made into stencils. So we stamped across this lines of the Berry Burst cardstock or DSP, and then it's actually the two-toned cardstock we actually used, but you can easily swap that out for the cardstock if you didn't have the two-tone DSP. We stamped on the designer series paper. And again, designer series paper is exclusive to the virtual retreat. And then just stamping on the inside. So like I said, the virtual retreat was, I felt, really good value in the sense that you get a lot of cards, a lot of extra supplies, a lot of extra things, lots of tips and techniques as well in there. This card I did do a little differently. The idea with this was to actually lock this in and wrap it around the front so it acts like a mechanism to hold that. I just did mine a little differently just so that it doesn't have a locking. Stamping, cutting, the dies cut out the insides and the outer edges of this. We stamped on the designer series paper, the large label. Then the dies also included, not the dies to cut out with the Stampin' Cut, but the actual template dies that you get in the kit, and it came with that. So that was that card. This card here, I do believe I actually haven't finished. So I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. That's what it's supposed to look like, and that's about as far as I got. Just alternating the colours. Again, creating a stencil. I'll pull it out of the bag so you can actually see. I just have to get around to finishing. There was just a couple of cards that I didn't get done on the day. So for this one here, we stamped along the inside edge. We have cut this out. Just got to add the happy birthday and my leaves and my embellishments. So they just have to get popped onto there. This was actually created with a stencil, and we used that stencil on another card to create these dots. So that was one. So I'm just going to put that to the side because I do need to finish that off. All right, so that was number 9. This card here was using the third flip flap that comes in the catalog, in the kit. I didn't do it that way. I actually chose to do mine a little differently. So decorated the envelope, and I chose to use thanks instead of congrats, which again, you're free to do and swap out. This was actually supposed to have a little flip flap that flopped down here and had some gold flowers from the dies. So you actually cut these out and pop those into the shake part. This little tip here was you stick that in your Versamark, then heat emboss it, and then do your words. So you actually get that gold on there. There's also a panel here of gold foil. We created that on the day, but I did find it was a little patchy, so I chose to swap that out and actually use a piece of gold foil. You weren't going to see all of it, I realized that, but I'm happy with how it turned out. A little bit of blending on the flower, a little bit of shading, tearing cardstock across the top here to give it that element. That's that two-tone cardstock. So you'll see that it's, pardon me, got that white core, which some people like. On this card, it looks great. So wasn't too fussed about that. You could also get a blend and color that white core if you didn't want it to show through. So if you wanted no white showing there and you really don't like that core of the white in the two-tone cardstock, get a blend and color that in. That will then blend that in, and it will still give you that torn look as well. So that's always another little tip that you can do. So this card here, this has a bit of extra elements in here that I just kept. So we have the instructions, envelope, just stamped. I did it double stamping on the leaves just to create an illusion. This one here was a little tricky to follow the instructions. It does use a lot. It's a tri-fold card, not a gatefold card, so it's a tri-fold. It has an additional layer in here from the dies of the outer die. We stamped, oh pardon me, we stamped the flowers. We coloured them in. I just used a bit of a dauber to colour those in. We've stamped the leaves and tucked those in as well. On the designer series paper, we added the words. And then again, we've stamped the flowers and the leaves in here and got a space here to write. But this was actually one whole piece of designer series paper cut down in half to make this trifold card. So that was really pretty. This card is... get rid of this. So instructions and the flowers, just got to colour in the yellow on there, stamp that. You want to be careful with the blends because the blends will actually go through, and the same with the inside of the card. If you were, pardon me, stamping and colouring those in, just be aware that if you were using the blends, that they will actually bleed through. So I will be colouring those in because the stamp set actually doesn't have a fill in stamp. I will be just colouring those in with probably my blends or not my blends, a blending brush. So that will be how I'll do that one. Coloured in the flowers, we've cut out the stencil. There was a variation on this and you can see it on the instructions. It was actually cut out the die this side, cut out the die that side and leave the panel at the front. I didn't do that. I actually just ran the whole die through. It was covering it anyway, but again, it's options there. Another little idea for you to have. So that was that card. And then this card, and we have the envelope, and then we have this. I really liked this one. We stamped on the designer series paper with the stripes. We stamped on the designer series paper with the dots. We embossed the hello. We did, when you stamp this whole entire thing, we actually cut it in half, and then that's the half that goes here, and the other half went up behind it, and then having an additional flower, adding in some leaves as well. And again, that's the two-tone cardstock. And the other card that I didn't get to finish because I did something silly and made a mistake, but it's all good. I'm happy with it. It's all good. What you do is you take so you were supposed to pop out all the flowers, which then go on the other cards. I didn't pay attention to that in the cutting instructions, and I thought, okay, I need 10 flowers, I'll cut that off, put it in the bag, then I'll do the next one, and then they'll be in there. So I actually still have the frame because both my frames went to putting them in the kit. So my good friend Danielle has given me her spare out of this. So we have stamped the envelope, we have stamped the card on the inside. What's going to happen is this goes down here, and we have stamped all of the designer series paper and the two-tone cardstock. So the cardstock, and then we've stamped the stripes. So what's going to happen is that, like that, and then repeat the pattern again, like that, and then that finishes off on the pattern there, I do believe. Maybe there's one more in there. Pop that into there, like so. And then this goes on top, and then you're able to see all the little designs inside the pattern. So you can see there that all of these strips of paper, except this pink one, has been actually stamped, and then it goes in here. Then we add, see, that's what I mean, like I'd actually cut all these out, and now I've got those to stick on there. The happy birthday, and then adding the twine and adding the leaves as well. So that's just my other additional card that I have to finish. So that was the virtual card retreat. Like I said, I think it was good value. I think you get a lot out of it and a lot of product and great cards as well. So I think if you're considering something and you're not 100% sure, or you would like to make some cards but you're not really 100% sure on where you want to start, I think that would be a great sweet kit to buy. Like I said, full instructions, lots of tips, lots of techniques as well. So yeah, that's me for today, and I will talk to you next time. All right, see you then. Bye.
What we love, what we do makes a difference in me.